Well, Bam Bam Bigelow was big and burly, but Booker T brought a baseball bat and battered Bam Bam's backbone. Let her be. I heard that Bob the Builder built the building where Bobby Brown bought his benzos at. Breaking Bad in Boston. Let her be. I'm talking let her be. Let her be. She's at the Ray and B4C. Ain't no better letter than let her be. With the letter B, the letter B, a bowling ball bag full of baby back ribs and some butter beans. Ain't no better letter than letter B. Not a big business, billionaires and bankers are buying off bureaucrats at Bilderberg. Better buy or build a bunker, let her be. So I'm gonna do my best to bust a beat about a big old beefy burger topped with bacon bits and a beer batter brat. Now that's what I call a balanced breakfast. Let her be. I'm saying let her be. Let her be after A and B4C. There ain't no better letter than let her be. Yeah, let her be. Let her be. Bag full of baby back ribs and some butter beans. Ain't no better letter than let it be. Know what I'm saying? So what's up to the people that are here so far? Well, this is Tim from Fallen World Films, and I am glad to have you guys here, whoever you are. So I wasn't planning this tonight. This is kind of a spontaneous live stream kind of deal. And Amber's at work, but actually, no, she's not. She's on her way home from work. So I think she'll be joining me. This is not a traditional Tales from the Fallen World, nor is it one of Fallen World Films' classic documentary series. This is just us hanging out. And what I'm going to be doing tonight is listening to some of my old music. As a lot of you guys know, I come from a background in music. You know, I was pursuing a music career for the majority of my life. You know, I started writing my own music at like age 12 or 13. Before that, I had already decided that I wanted to do that. Like I was already kind of writing music, I guess, but I didn't know how to play any instruments yet. But it was at age 12 or 13 that I started playing guitar, writing my own songs, telling everybody I was going to be a huge rock star someday. I ended up going to college for music performance arts. And, you know, everybody in my previous life, I mean, everybody in my whole life has kind of been anticipating that I would have some type of career in music because I always said that I would. I went on to do this. At age 18, I moved away from home. I went to college and I only made it one semester before I ended up skipping all my courses one day so that I could go to a metal show in Ohio with some friends of mine. And at that show, I met this girl and I ended up chasing that girl to Ohio. It's a long story. It's not my beautiful wife. It's an ex-girlfriend, but I met her at this metal show. And when whoa, you came in the back door.
The front door was locked.
You guys, Amber is home. Nobody's in the comments, but hi, Amber. I was just telling them about how I always was pursuing a music career, and then I went to college for music, but how I dropped out after one semester. I skipped all my courses, and I went to a metal show where I met the girl and then I ended up dropping out of school, moving to Ohio, hanging out with all these metal kids all the time. I started a punk rock band, and I also had, I participated in a few metal projects and all of this. And so I'm sorry, I got a little distracted by Amber coming home. So I was pursuing a music career for the majority of my life. No, I'm so happy you're home, babes. I'm so happy you're home. She's going to join us soon. I hope you will. You want to say hi at least?
I will say, yeah. I want to say hi. Hold up. A cat is like in the
All right. Hey, what's up, Battleborn? That's our first commenter so far. But so I'm just going to be going through some of my old songs I have down here and just like commenting on where I'm at now.
What I found, but it's not.
So I asked Amber, I was like, you don't have the old Shyla Blind CD, do you? Because I know I saw this in her car. Now, this is a CD that I made with my bandmate / old time best friend, Clint. Back when I think I was 17 when I made this. I was 15 when I recorded my first album.
And I used to go to your guys' like local shows and stuff.
Yeah, Amber was a fan. And you can see right here this.
I was a groupie.
We're gonna kind of talk about this. Even this first album that I made, Shyla Blind. So this was like an acoustic kind of. I hate to say emo. Like we're old enough that it kind of was a predecessor to the emo genre, but I suppose you'd classify it that way these days. But we were, it wasn't so cliche when we were doing it. It was kind of a newer thing. There was only Dashboard Confessional, so we were kind of original by doing a similar thing, but with dual harmonies,
Right.
And you see, you got this kid praying, right, with the handcuffs on. This is kind of the type of thing I wanted to talk about because, my bandmate at this time, Clint, was a friend of mine from Christian school. And both he and I were like super influenced by the world. And even this very CD cover, which I didn't know Amber was going to be bringing in, but it kind of represents where I was at one point in my life as a kid that grew up in the church and that grew up in the Christian environment, and I felt imprisoned by my faith. I'm a dad now. I have all these kids, and like it's interesting how I'm going to have to approach the topic of faith with my own kids because we live in this world, right, where what the Bible has to say and the Christianity is foolish by the standard of the world. And I remember being a kid and listening to like CCM, and like these Christian rock bands and Christian rappers, and DC Talk and Jars of Clay and MXPX and all of these Christian bands. And they were always like, these were the stuff that I was allowed to listen to growing up in a Christian home, right? Now, mind you, Amber, she was, her parents also, like, I know Amber from church. Her family went to church at the same church that we went to when we were kids. But for whatever reason, like where my parents were real strict on music, but would let us kind of watch what we wanted on TV, it was the opposite for Amber. She like wasn't allowed to watch TV, but her dad and her mom both love music, as do my parents. But she grew up listening to all the secular stuff, Well, so I'm saying all this to get to the point that Clint, my, when back in my first band, Shyla Blind, he was my friend from the Christian school. And we both really got along and really the crux of our relationship. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not very close with Clint now, but I do still love him. There wasn't necessarily a falling out or anything. We've grown apart. But where we really bonded in this Christian school was the fact that we didn't really believe the stuff that we were being taught. I wasn't a Christian. I told my parents I was, the Christian school assumed that I was because I participated in all these programs here at the Christian school. But even as a kid, I was so full of doubt that I didn't personally identify as Christian, even though I would say that I did. And then Clint was the same, and it's funny because Amber just happens to bring this home. Didn't even know I was going live tonight. And I forgot about this cover, this kid praying with the handcuffs on. And we're going to get into that because you're going to see how I kind of went from this kid that grew up in a Christian home, but wanted to pursue a career in music. And I was a talented and proficient, serious musician. I had the actual, capability to do that, I believe. And I had a lot of successes. But what's interesting, I look back now as a born again Christian and as a dad myself, and I can just listening to the lyrics of my own songs, which I've always been a passionate songwriter. So I don't have any shame. Like when we listen through this, I still kind of like these songs because I can still stand by, yeah, that's an accurate reflection of how I felt at that time. right? Which is the standard, I suppose, of a good poet or songwriter. You know, I was expressing myself. It's just that I was so lost, and it shines through in the lyrics. And it's interesting because at the time I had, you know, a bunch of fans and listeners and followers and friends that really liked the music that, you know, identified with what it was I was singing about. And at the time I had a lot of faith and confidence in what I was singing about too. I thought it was so great that I was being honest about my emotions and about my experiences. And in hindsight, again, I guess it was because I was honest about the fact that I was lost and damaged and broken and depressed, right? And it just so happens that this lines up with all of the popular music on the radio today, right? Like whether it's by construct or whether it's an actual genuine, you know, reflection of what the artist is feeling, modern music is almost always like centered around these feelings of, you know, isolation and sadness and anger and regret and, you know, disappointment or loss or lust, you know, and these types of emotions. And so it's interesting because the reason I even started thinking about this tonight, again, I wasn't planning on doing a spontaneous live stream, but I was thinking about, of all bands, DC Talk, and I didn't put anything on here. Part of me wants to go grab a guitar and sing Jesus Freak for you guys. But for those of you who grew up in like the CCM scene, like me, and are familiar, you know, I don't know why I was thinking about DC Talk. Maybe one of their songs was in my head. Actually, that is what it was today. But, you know, I keep up enough on this CCM stuff to know that these days, so Kevin Max, for those of you who know, you know, for those of you who don't know, DC Talk was like this awesome musical group throughout the 90s and 2000s. And they were almost like the Beatles of CCM. CCM meaning contemporary Christian music, right? I mean, these guys, like, if you just heard one or two songs, you might confuse them for a pop band, but they were this extremely talented group of three dudes that every album that they came out with would pretty much be a different genre of music, you know? So they had like an alternative rock album, and they had kind of like you know, an electronic kind of techno-ish rock pop album, and they had some hip hop albums, and, you know, doing straight rap stuff. And these guys were really good. And some notable, so the three guys were Michael Tate. Michael Tate was like the black dude in the group, right? Which also in the 90s when they came out, that was part of their appeal. You know, they had this black guy and it was two white guys. And they had a few songs about that too, you know, colored people. And they had this song they would sing called, that they were like, we're just two honks and a Negro serving the Lord. It was and that was like part of their appeal. Okay. So these guys were great. Michael Tate was the black dude, and he ended up these days, I don't know if he's singing in like Audio or Newsboys, some other CCM band, right? Because these guys broke up a while ago. And then there was Toby Mac. Now, Toby Mac, he's huge, and he went on to be super famous. He's super famous right now. He's on the regular radio and he's on Christian radio. And a lot of people might know who Toby Mac is. His son recently died from a drug overdose. And then there was Kevin Max. And now Kevin Max had the most beautiful voice. You know, as a musician, I'll say it to this day, he had just such an amazing voice. I love Kevin Max's singing voice and his talent and skill. Now, he was kind of like a mix between like Jeff Buckley, if you know who that is, and maybe like David Bowie. And he had like a really good vibrato. You know, if you don't know, you don't know. If you want to, you can look up Kevin Max and listen to how amazing this guy's voice is. So I was thinking about DC Talk, right? Now here's the current scoop in 2022 is that DC Talk doesn't exist. Like I said, Toby Mac is now a huge superstar whose son just died of a drug overdose, which I'm not blaming him for that, and he's not responsible for his son's life, you know, but his son was also like this mumble rapper guy that would even rap openly about like doing drugs and stuff. He was like this up and coming wannabe rapper guy. And Toby Mac would go on record like supporting his son and saying how great it was. And Toby Mac years ago, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, came out with an album called Eye on It, where the cover of his album was just an eye, like the Illuminati eye, right? And now you have Kevin Max, one of the other three members of DC Talk, who has now deconstructed his faith. He now openly no longer is a Christian. He believes in the universal Christ, right? And I was just thinking about how sad that was and how influential DC Talk was to me, and how it even at times in my life, like, you know, as somebody that went away from the faith, like those DC Talk songs still stuck in my head. So there were times when like I didn't identify as Christian at all, but I would still remember some of those songs, right? And so I always wanted to perceive DC Talk to be like of God and a good thing. And in a way, I kind of still think it is. And I'll mention too, Amber, when I ran into your brother at Summerfest that one year that you weren't there, he was there with Emma, and me and Clayton were standing in line. Now, Summerfest is this big local music festival in Wisconsin where, you know,
it's the place to be.
It's the place to be, yeah. And everyone's just drunk, and it's a secular music festival. And I was there a few years ago. I mean, it was before I was married to Amber. So
Dude,
maybe
it was like 10.
It was like
Or
it was like
8
6 or
years
7
ago.
years ago.
Babe, we're about to be married 6 years next month.
Okay, then
So it was like
7.
at least 8.
7 or 8 years ago. Right, she's right. Regardless, and I was here, and at that time I'm a Christian, but I'm somewhat of a newer Christian, and I'm there just to have a good time and hang out with my brother, see my friend Clay, who is my brother-in-law now, Amber's brother. And anyways, we were in
One
line.
of our best friends in the world.
We were in line to get some beers, and me and Clay started talking about DC Talk, and I started just singing the song Jesus Freak, you know, the part where it's like, I saw a man on the chair with a, or I saw a man. How's the song go? Saw a man with a son, not his big. Saw a man with a tad on his big fat belly. It wriggled around like marmalade jelly. Took me a while to catch what he said because I had to match the rhythm of his belly with my head. Anyways, all these other people in the crowd started singing along with me, including Clay, you know. And by the time we got to the chorus, in this line, it almost seemed like maybe a quarter of the people that were there knew this song, Jesus Freak. And we're all drunk, and everyone's got a beer in their hand, and we're all there to listen to secular music, but they're all singing, what will people think when they hear that I'm a Jesus freak, right? And I think about that now because the truth is that everybody involved in the CCM thing ended up going so far off the rails. And all these bands that I used to look up to so much, like I said, Kevin Max has now like deconstructed his faith. But there was also like MXPX was one of my favorite bands of all time. They got me into punk rock, you know, and now Michael from MXPX, their lead singer. Now, mind you, they never even sang any Christian songs in the first place, you know, but they sold their CDs at the Christian bookstore where my parents would let me get music. And so I assumed they were Christian. And so he also ended up, you know, taking back his faith, saying he's not a Christian. And this just goes on and on. Like the dude from Jars of Clay, the lead singer, is now like this super, you know, advocate for LGBT rights and promotion.
Well,
Amy
honestly,
Grant.
it's super weird because like there's a lot of like Christian band, like when we were growing up, like a lot of Christian bands that, you know,
but the whole Christian thing was like, that's the thing. Yeah. But they were really just trying to appeal to the world, you know?
Right.
And we were interested in them because of their appeal to the world. And like, and I think of MXPX and POD.
And they get exposed and it's like, they never were Christians.
Yeah. And it's
like that. I mean, that's the case for a lot of the bands that like, you know, that you're talking about. And like,
well, and it was the case for me.
Right. And like Clay, my brother, he went to Cornerstone and saw like all these bands, Christian bands.
Right. So Cornerstone is somewhere we used to go. Jesus Freak, Little Dog, Toby's son, love him. Yeah, and so like, and Battleborn saying Skillet rocks. You know, Skillet is actually from my area. They go to church
crazy.
Right up the street. I got some friends that are friends with Skillet. And Skillet actually, you know, like they're kind of in like the weird fringe of these CCM bands that at this point haven't yet sold out and gone total Illuminati or LGBT. Unfortunately, a whole bunch of them have, like, you know, and I know Amy Grant, who's like one of the most famous. She's even before my time, you know, but she's this isn't the point of this live stream. In fact, now that I'm talking about this, I will just maybe me and Amber. And by the way, I was going to ask if you wanted to do a Tales from the Fallen World on Sunday, maybe, or sometime soon. It's up to you.
Sunday could work. We just have the birthday party.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we'll figure it out. But point is, well, I want to do a more committed thing about this CCM thing and actually get some stuff to show you guys. And I'm actually going to move on. We're going to actually review this music like I said we were going to do. It's just that I was thinking about this stuff, which is what led me to want to do this, you know, because all these so-called Christian musics and the so-called Christian music industry, that I was influenced by, you know, because there was a time I was growing up in the church, you know, and like at the time that I was starting to really doubt my faith, I was also like fueled by this soundtrack of these CCM like Christian rock bands, you know, who never ever mentioned Jesus, who were sold at the Christian rock store. And it wasn't until later that I became a musician myself, and I became familiar with, you know, like As I Lay Dying was a so-called Christian metal band whom the lead singer of, Tim, I forget his last name, ended up getting charged for hiring a hitman to kill his wife, right? Now these guys, none of their songs were ever Christian, right? Like none of their lyrics, they would occasionally mention something about God or something about the Bible. Just any of these so-called Christian punk rock or metal bands that I love so much that were on these Christian labels and sold at the Christian bookstore, but they were never actually bold about their faith, you know, and they were actually way more concerned with appealing to the world. Well, anyways, this lead singer from As I Lay Dying hires a hitman to kill his wife, right? Blah, blah. They're all over the news. And then once they're all over the news, the mainstream news, I remember reading these articles where they were talking about, yeah, we were signed to this Christian label, but we weren't really Christians. And they were talking about how awkward it felt because sometimes they would be at shows and some of their fans that were at church that were Christians, that grew up in Christian homes, that only knew about them because their parents let them buy their CD because they sold them at the Christian bookstore. Meanwhile, these guys had tattoos up and down their arms. They're just drunk. They're just doing drugs. They're hanging out partying with all the regular non-Christian secular metal bands. And this dude was talking about how like these kids would ask him to pray with them, and that he always felt kind of weird about that because he didn't even pray himself, you know, but he would put his arm around the kid and give some prayer. And you got it. How sad is that, you know? And then to this kid, like he's actually like valuing this prayer like there's some special merit in it because he's looking up to this guy. And why is he looking up to this guy? Because he's falling into the same construct that the world has presented, where these rock stars and stuff like that are something special in music.
Dude, and I'm sorry, but it just goes without saying, like, to literally stare up on a stage and like idolize any person, like,
right,
I don't know. And so I grew up going to shows. Like I went to shows every weekend, went to festivals. Like that was my life for a long time. And now looking back, I'm like, I really idolize those people. I don't know. It's just,
you look back and you're like, why did I like love them? Especially now, and like we're getting older, and those people are getting older, and it's like you're starting to see them in a different light, and it's like, dude, this old grandpa,
regular people,
right? Exactly, that's like, what I'm saying. But they're not even just regular people. They're like they're straight up pawns that are continuing to dress ridiculous and dance around on stage and do their stupid thing. Like, how much have you matured beyond the point when those songs first spoke to you? Like,
so much,
you know, Elliott Smith and.
Right.
But you know, so but that's not, again, it's not what I wanted to come on here and do tonight. But yeah, it is what it kind of inspired me to talk about this topic, just because, as a lot of you guys know, I mean, I pursued music, and I'm still a musician. And deep down, you know, in my heart, like there's still times where I kind of fantasize about, like, you know, maybe I'll still end up doing music somehow. One thing is that since I became a Christian so many years ago, I've yet to write a good Christian song that I feel really fit to sing. It's not that it's impossible or anything. It's just that, you know, I come from this background of secular music, as we're about to get into right here. And hopefully this will demonstrate it better. But, you know, like in the secular and in the worldly standard of music, and mind you, I got a whole documentary about this. It's called The War on Kids. I talk about this a lot because it's close to my heart, and I know a lot about it because I was intimately involved in music. But anyways, you know, there was, well, you know what? Let's just get into it, because I could sit here and rant on you guys. I'm not trying to cut myself off here, but in the other way I am. I'll rant on and on. So this is my first. Actually, this is not my first band. My first band was called Silver Speak, also with my friend Clint, who was in this band. My second band was Shia LaBlind, but we can't find the actual CD in here. It's these two. Oh wait, some songs, but you're saying there's nothing on here?
No Shia LaBlind songs.
Okay, well.
But no, listen.
What's on there?
That's a bunch of your songs, you made like a mixtape for Seth, but then never gave it to him, and then I just like took it.
And you just took it. So maybe, who knows? Well, you may or may never hear some of my first two bands, Silver Speak and Shia LaBlind.
No,
actually,
none of those.
My first band wasn't a band. It was called Dialect Pride, which I have that CD here sometime, and I'd be happy to play it for you guys if I can find it. Actually, I really wanted to find it because I wanted to show you this transition because, you know, at the time I made that CD, I think I was 14 when I made my first album. 14 or maybe 15. I think it was 14, actually, when I made Dialect Pride. I was just a kid. But I was, just to show you how long I've been doing this and pursuing this thing, you know.
And you were just singing a Dialect Pride song the other day.
Yeah, that's true. Just the other day, I was picking up groceries that Amber ordered from Aldi, and I was... No, that's not what it was. No, we ordered food from someplace.
I was
Noodles
so
and Company.
sick.
So, okay, whatever, they don't care. But we ordered Noodles and Company. I was at the car and I had this big bag of food, and I'm going through the food bag. Hear me out. I'm not trying to bore you guys, but this is a good one because I'm standing at the passenger side of my truck. The door is open. I'm standing there. And I got the bag open on my passenger seat, and I'm going through it, and I'm literally taking things out of the bag, and I'm setting it down. And I'm just making sure that everything I ordered is actually in there because they're always messing up me and Amber's order. And for some reason, I'm singing out loud one of my old songs from this Dialect Pride CD. Now, mind you, this old stuff, it's as cringy as could possibly be. Like, take the most emo thing you can imagine, times it by 1,000.
As like a 14-year-old.
As a 14-year-old, then cry all over it. And then that's how I sounded like. But also, you're going through puberty. So imagine your voice is cracking too. And
that's what your voice was doing.
At that time, I actually made that CD. That's what my voice was doing.
Yeah.
And at the time the other day when I'm singing the song, I was intentionally doing that with my voice because for my own amusement, I was like mimicking the way that CD sounded. It was a thing in my own head, you know. And literally the lyrics to the part of the song I was singing were, "And I hate this world." Now, I know how cringy this sounds to you guys. What I said and how I sang it. Now imagine this. You're a stranger and you're just trying to get into your driver's door, but there's this dude who's me singing like that because that's what I was doing, you guys. This is just the other day. And so I'm singing the song like that. I'm mimicking my old teenage voice. Will you come save my world? I know it is. But I tell him I'm singing and I turn around and there's this man standing there and he's just like playing on his phone, acting like he's not there, acting like he's not bothered by the fact that I'm doing this. And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man." Got the food back in the bag and I got back in the car. He got in his car and I avoided eye contact. I drove away from there.
It's so wrong.
I called Amber and I told her what happened. So, man, this is what happens. I mean, we're 28 minutes in. We've yet to start reviewing one song. This is the way I do it. So yeah, you guys, here's like my third or fourth band. The first one I got on the list. This is my album called Bombs Away with my band Annika. And let's just listen to it for a second. And let's pull this up here. Let's do this.
Sarah said you can sound like a Bee Gee.
Let's do it like this. All right, so already right there, let me just say this song is called UGBS. And what that stands for is I graduated from a school called UGCS, Union Grove Christian School.
And I also went there.
And Amber also went there. And
when we were younger.
And of course, at the age of 19 or 20, or whenever I wrote this song, I called this song UGBS because it's BS. It's bull, S-H-I-T, right? That was my attitude. And this whole song is about being not actually saved, being a kid, being a teenager in a Christian home that doesn't actually feel saved or believe in what you're being taught, but feeling forced to act like I do believe it. That's what the song is about. And I feel better when I'm lying about my faith.
Better dreams, better lies, better chance and I'll die. And I feel better when I lie, yeah.
Hate to keep pausing it, but hi, Steve Stevenson. So glad you're here. Steve, I'm doing some of my old music, so you know it's way past your generation. So don't mind the screaming, man. Steve's more into old 1940s jazz, which I also enjoy. So yeah, that last verse I just said is tie your tie on extra tight. It's Friday's chapel service. This is me talking about going to Christian school and hating it, right? Just sing your heart out, lift your voice. It always made me nervous. And then I go on to say, I'll cross my heart and hope to die. I'll smash your teeth in and black your eyes. And when I wrote that, I was actually thinking about like some Christian person trying to force me into this Christian life. And then I go on, as you're about to hear, and say, because this is my last chance and I'll be damned if I don't take it. My last chance to be a secular rock star.
Hope to die, I'll smash your teeth and black your eyes. This is my last chance and I'll be damned if I don't take it. So better dreams, better lies, better look for next time. And I feel better when I'm lying, yeah, yeah. Better dreams, better lies, better chance and I'll die. And I feel better when the biggest washout loser this town has ever come to know. Brothers never stand alone. This is rock and roll.
And then in this part, when I say here, brothers never stand alone, this is rock and roll, man, because I'm still waiting, or I'm still praying, I'm still waiting for a better tomorrow. That's what you're about to hear. I'm talking about my literal brother, Doug, in this part when I was writing the song. I'm off in Ohio, and I'm pursuing this music career in secular music. My brother, who never departed from his faith, who's a Christian living back in Wisconsin, who I miss. And I'm literally singing to my actual brother, Doug, right here. And I'm kind of expressing in a poetic way how I feel like I'm alone because I don't even share the faith that he does. And I'm not really part of the family anymore. And I'm kind of appealing to him in a poetic way to join me, and I guess joining the dark side.
Wonder if it's gonna change a single thing in the life of the biggest washout loser this town has ever come to know. Brothers never stand alone. This is rock and roll, man, 'cause I'm still praying, I'm still waiting for a better tomorrow. Better dreams, better lies, better love for
So there's me screaming and yelling about my emotions. So that's a great, I haven't thought about this at all beforehand. First song that we did is perfect for what everything I just said to set all this up. That's a boy telling the truth. I'm not ashamed of that song. I really did feel that way. So that's what I meant before. I mean, it's a good song in context with me being honest about how I felt. But that's what I want. This, for a lot of you parents, there's people, a large demographic of this channel happens to be people in their 50s and 60s. And that's around my parents' age. And I'll bet you guys, a lot of you people can relate to trying to raise your kids in the way of the Lord and them not necessarily all following in that way. And I was one of those kids. And if, this song is a reflection of how I felt. And I hope that I can remember how I felt in the way that I approach faith with my own kids. It can be a frustrating thing to, be a teenager in a world where all you want is acceptance and to fit in, so if you're here in the world at all, supposing your parents aren't Amish or something and you have any influence of the world, and this world is about as opposite from what the Bible says is possible, and let's just move on. Let's see what else I got. Here's another song about me hating my life.
I love you in that summer dress. Everybody's so impressed. I'm not there, and I can't shake this feeling that you're never meant to let this last. I don't care, 'cause I'm broken, branded, waiting my whole life. It's all I know. And there's no way, no how, this is it. I'm always bleeding out of my soul. Alright. Yeah, this is my life, lost in Ohio. Well, I try to be nice, you're still wearing my own.
Now, what's interesting about this album is that if you go through it, so many times in this album, what I'm singing about is how I feel lost in the state of Ohio, the state that I was in when I wrote this song. That's literally the lyrics to this song, but it's also the theme throughout almost this whole album is how if you listen to it and if you can pick out the poetry that I put into it the entire time that I was pursuing this career. Now Annika represents probably the peak of my career in terms of success. Annika and Casper the Fake, my rap group. For all the years that I did music, these were my most successful bands. And so this should have been a time, when I should have just been soaking it up, really enjoying it, really, embracing it and trying to create a foundation for what could have been a good music career. That's what my bandmates were doing. But I always felt this inner contention with the way that I was raised and with knowing the truth of the gospel, even though I was backsliding and even though I was in rebellion against it. And there was always this discontentment in me with both like trying to embrace the reality that I wanted, which was this rock star life, which I was successfully starting to create, and what I knew to be right, which was, which was the ways of God. I always wonder that, I grew up in this Christian home. I recall being saved as an adult, but there is another part of me that almost feels like the spirit was always there in a way. The conviction was always there.
Look, I want to show Sarah my baby.
Okay, real quick. Sarah, this is Max. As you see, he's growing.
Hold on.
Right. This is Fallen World Film Reacts, but only to Casper the Fake specifically.
He's in play mode, so he really doesn't want to be held.
He's the white cat that we chose to keep.
This is my little guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
Look,
right.
She even said, yes, Amber, let's see a fur baby. He's an actual baby.
He's a good boy. I want to skip past this song. That's me screaming, you guys, if you can believe that.
And this is how we were away.
All right. Skipped a few songs. That's the end of that one there. There's still a lot on this Annika album, but let's see what else we got here.
Matter, cause he doesn't matter, cause he's just a fake. And the dude never sleeps, cause his head's always cluttered with regret for the stupid decisions he's made. And even when he sleeps, he only has nightmares, so why then should he sleep when there's still weed to be smoked? See, maybe he's scared that his life is a nightmare, or maybe he's scared that we know he's a joke, or maybe he's scared that we know that he's scared, so he acts like everything's perfectly fine. He says dirty jokes and he constantly brags that his reggae/rap act is one of a kind. And while he puffs out his chest, and he's hoping that nobody notices it. And his name doesn't matter, but his friends call him Casper, and they don't even know him, and they don't even know it.
Okay, so real quick, I know this dude whose name doesn't matter because he doesn't matter because he's just a fake. That was me, Casper the Fake. I'll tell you guys at some point tonight probably what Casper the Fake really totally means, because he's just a fake. It goes, I know this dude whose name doesn't matter because he doesn't matter because he's just a fake. Let's hear that again, dude, because there's just so much here.
Regret for the stupid decision because he's just a fake. And the dude never sleeps.
And the dude never sleeps because his head's always cluttered with regret from the stupid decisions he makes. And even when he sleeps, he only has nightmares. So why should he sleep when there's more weed to be smoked? Which was like the banner of my life at that time. Well, maybe he's scared that his life is a nightmare. Now, you can't get this for honesty. I mean, this is why we can go back. It's just like, I'm just describing what it's like to be an unsaved person. Maybe he's scared that his life is a nightmare, or maybe he's scared that we know he's a joke, or maybe he's scared that we know that he's scared. So he acts like everything's perfectly fine. And he says dirty jokes and he constantly brags how his reggae/rap act is one of a kind. You're about to hear this, you know, and he puffs out his chest, but he's honestly bashful and he's just hoping that nobody notices it. And his name doesn't matter, but his friends call him Casper and they don't even know him and they don't even know it. Once again, even this song, that part of me that my friends didn't even know was the fact that I'm having this spiritual struggle inside and I'm just posing why I'm called Casper.
Because his head's always cluttered with regret for the stupid decisions he's made. And even when he sleeps, he only has nightmares, so why then should he sleep when there's still weed to be smoked? See, maybe he's scared that his life is a nightmare, or maybe he's scared that we know he's a joke, or maybe he's scared that we know that he's scared, so he acts like everything's perfectly fine. He says dirty jokes and he constantly brags that his reggae/rap act is one of a kind. And while he puffs out his chest, and he's hoping that nobody notices it. And his name doesn't matter, but his friends call him Casper and they don't even know him, and they don't even know it, right? My head is pounding, my heart is beating through my chest again, yeah, cause I've been running on empty and I don't even know where I'm going.
See, I don't even know where I'm going. And that was like the main theme of my lyrical content. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm sad and I'm depressed. I was honest, and it was good in that way. Everybody cheered because everybody in this world agrees, because they're all lost.
Yeah, but we carry on. We carry on. Carry on. Well, everything is pointless, right? How many people in the crowd tonight are wound too tight? Are we just about to fight the pounds of might? We can sober out with slight to bounce heavily, whether we brown or white. Tonight's the night, and I think that we finally ready to rock steady and drop your bombs and Tom Petty on acid. Ever since rap became fashion, his ass became plastic, his black and his trapped in. When the fact is that rap is too passive, vested is black and it's packed and it's massive. Under attack from these assholes who bragging, flashing their cash almost passionately. We see money is the root of all evil. Yeah, yeah.
But I just gotta get a piece of that.
Here's an interesting point too. At the time I wrote this song, I knew that the actual Bible verse is the love of money is the root of all evil. Don't ask me why, but the lyrics of this song say money is the root of all evil, but I just got to get a piece of that. Thought that was cute.
I just gotta get a piece of that. Yeah, money's the root of all evil. Yeah, yeah, but I just gotta get a piece of that. Yeah, I just gotta get a piece of that. Cause I've been eating generic spam and a pot of meat, try to swallow it down and try to look bottle of cheap. I can wallow and try now. Someone said that bottle is hollow, I gotta get out. I'm about to throw in the towel, but out of luck. Cause 20 bucks isn't enough to get myself out of this one that I've been. I'm stuck and I won't budge. I don't get no love, no flowers and no one. Open my soul, I bet your orders like so what? But I just gotta carry on. Hold down the full man, I gotta stay strong.
All right, and that's interesting to me too, because here's the context of what I'm saying. I've been eating generic spam and a potted meat product. And I remember the time I wrote that, I was literally eating spam, but it wasn't spam. It was Kroger's, the store Kroger's, which was popular in Ohio. It was their store brand, generic version of spam. And you know what it was called? Potted meat product. And that's why I said that. I was like, man, I've been eating generic spam called potted meat. It's called a potted meat product. Swallow it down and throttle a bottle of cheap vodka, wallow and drown in my sorrow till that bottle is hollow. I gotta get out because I'm about to throw in the towel. I'm out of luck, you know, because that's what my life, you know, eating generic spam, drinking vodka till the bottle was hollow, wallow in sorrow. You got to get out. I'm going to throw in the towel, all that stuff. I'm just so depressed. And these people just eat it up. And by these people, I mean, these are my friends. These are fans that I love. And it's nothing against anybody in this crowd. I know all these people by name and I care about them. You know, my bandmates as well, and even my former self. But this is the sad reality of like what the world celebrates. And I get it because look at me. I was right in it.
So we all agree that we can all relate, and if we all are the same, then we are all just fake. So I'm trying hard to make some sense of this, but it's not coming quite as clearly. I still believe that money is the root of all evil. Yeah, yeah. But I just gotta get a piece of that. You know, I just gotta get a piece of that. Yeah, money's the root of all evil. Yeah, yeah. And I just gotta get a piece of that. You know, I just gotta get a piece of that.
Okay, we'll move on to another song. I will say, I know about Larry Norman. You know, I know about Larry Norman, again, through DC Talk, because they covered his song, I Wish We'd All Been Ready. And then I learned about Larry Norman, kind of like you said, the father of CCM. I got no problem with that guy, man. I kind of like a lot of the Jesus movement that I read about from the 70s and hear about. You know, I mean, anybody that's been a subscriber to the channel long enough knows that I got a complicated relationship with music. You know, I don't believe that that music styles in and of themselves are of the devil. I can't believe that as intimately and passionately as I've been affected by music and even created it.
I've kind of taken a break from music, honestly. Like I've just been listening to like podcasts and stuff. I mean, as someone that's been raised in a home where like music is life, like worshipped,
right. Yeah, right. It was.
And I do no, it really was. I love music. I love it. But I also, I don't know. I need to take breaks sometimes. And like I've been on like a podcast kick.
Dude, I went darn near a couple of years in the time that like shortly after I got saved, you know, and I started listening to instrumental music, and like I honestly don't listen to too much music now. I still kind of do. I listen to a lot of news and Bible stuff, Christian, you know, sermons and
I'm
podcasts.
all about just the podcast lately, but also I do listen to Brian T a lot.
So yeah, with Christian rap, I was thinking about pulling up some of that to give these people. Maybe I will at some point if we go long enough.
Honestly, like me, like I listen to like a lot of rap.
Well, see, I want to talk with you, Amber, sometime and like actually write out like, because I want to cover this CCM thing. I know I spent the whole first 30 minutes talking about it on this live stream, and it was kind of unorganized, but I wouldn't mind putting together a more organized kind of, you know,
CCM
thing for CCM. Yeah, just Christian contemporary music, you know, because with all these phonies and fakes and all these people I grew up with listening to, like, and all this selling out and all this and that. And it's that because there are a couple examples of what I would consider to be good quality Christian CCM music.
right.
I'd imagine Bernie knows about it too.
And we have like a ton of playlists and like even stuff I play the kids.
But it's just sad. Like, it's sad because a lot of the stuff you thought you could trust, you know, I mean, for old school people like me that have been in the scene forever, like no one's surprised to hear that MXPX and these guys turned away. But when you start hearing that Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant and people like this are affirming the LGBT thing and like literally promoting this universal
like,
Christ, this new age stuff, which is what's happening. Kevin Max denouncing his faith. You know who the biggest Christian artist is right now? Some lesbian chick named Semler. And if you look up, she's like she had 2 or 3 number one.
Sure?
Yeah. And like right now, Pabst Theater keeps reminding me of her on Facebook because they're like, if you're a fan of this or that person, Tori Amos and stuff, Semler is coming. And Semler is labeled. She's on a Christian label. She plays at churches. She's number one in these Christian labels and these things. But she has songs about, she swears. She talks about how bad the church is and how, you know, she's just this LGBT advocate. And a bunch of them, like not Michelle Branch. There was this other chick coming up in the scene that is now, I'm not going to call her out because I can't remember her name. Ray Boltz was another one who sang the song, "Thank you for giving to the Lord. I am a life that's been changed." Amazing, beautiful Christian song. That guy is now gay as can be, gay as the day is long, married and all that, going on Oprah, singing these songs. There's at least 3 or 4. The main singer from Everyday Sunday, a popular Christian rock band when I was growing up, Christian punk band. He's come out of the closet, still continuing to be a so-called Christian singer in the CCM movement.
I think the commonality is that like Christianity is attacked at all angles.
But the question, the real question is, are these so-called Christian artists, are they like good people? Like, you know, I would have considered myself at one point, not good, but you know what I mean? With good intentions, who just ended up being, you know.
No, I wonder that too.
Do you think that these people are so worried, are so concerned with their own fame and their own standing in the world that they're willing to bend enough to, like Lauren Daigle is another one who I love, who now promotes all this. Or was it planned like that from the start? Again, I'm someone that's always said, like, when you look at these Disney girls, Miley Cyrus and Britney Spears and Amanda, whatever her name is, and all of them, you know, there's a reason like that they do this thing where they have children that grow up in this entertainment industry, like promote these, you know, pure wholesome roles and attain this fan base and then turn them into sluts and you know, make them do all this inappropriate stuff once they become teenagers. And it's so that all those fans that they had as kids will then follow their tracks. I'm telling you, I think this is the same thing with Christian music, that like I'm 37 years old right now. I grew up with this stuff. So did a whole bunch of my subscribers, I guarantee you. And like, I'm just telling you, like these artists, these so-called Christian artists who were the alternative to the secular world music. Well, listen, you guys, right now they've all transitioned right over to secular. And I think that's all been by design. And the whole idea is that, you know, for the millions of people out there who hang on every words their favorite celebrities say, and sadly celebrityism exists in Christianity too, and it's just so that they'll go along with them as they all transfer over to the world. I don't know how deep it goes. I don't know if there's like a big board meeting where they decide these. I don't get it all, but I'm just telling you, across the board, like all my favorite old Christian artists are now like either gay or like talking about how much they love the Pride Month, you know. And that's the gateway of it, you know. And then some other ones are just getting into this new agey stuff. And I could go on and on. The metal stuff, all these metal Christian bands who I used to love, I look back in hindsight and they were satanic from the start and they continue to be. And it's too bad because I do enjoy it. The flesh in me really enjoys it. I love some metal music. I love rap. I love crazy, obscene, hardcore music. But I know it's wrong. Let's check out this one.
So you're doing good, huh?
But you love it.
I'm a push complaining. So you're doing good. Hey, you guys want to hear another poem? Yeah. It's a nice night for poems. Check it out. When chaos unfolds, sides get parted unequally, and boundaries get broken, and bridges get burned. Because when the righteous grow weary, the wrong become reckless, and those in between, see, we just don't get a turn. There's only two kinds of people. There's those who climb mountains and hope for a moment of true clarity, and then there's those that dig ditches to hide from the mountains, because they live in fear of their sins being seen. But see, me, I'm in the middle. A poet who speaks is to teach, is to hopefully reach common ground. And I offer a message of reason and peace to the people between being lost and being found. And while I don't think I'm a leader, I do feel that I've been led to lead an army if that's what it takes to see a change. And I'll spark the revolution since nobody else is moving. I figure someone ought to do it for this world to rearrange. And you'll not to state the obvious, but politics breed power trips. But I believe in tolerance, so I just speak the truth. Because there's way too many one-sided, opinionated, and closed-minded, empty-headed views that are being used as our evening's news. Man, there's just no excuse for hatred, and this topic's not debatable. We don't practice compassion, yet we've mastered fighting back. And we never learned our lesson from the wars or the depression. We just started building weapons that were better than our last. Now it's the red side versus the blue side. Both consist of mostly white guys earning stars over their badges like the flag upon your pole. Oh, but if you don't like your country, then go and move to someone else's. But if you lose your green card, you ain't never coming home. You see, the cause to this effect, it's all these laws that aren't effective. So it's just like my father told me, that if you ever throw a stone into the river, the ripple effect expands and increases until the water's too turbulent for the man to control. So here's a lesson. Don't ever underestimate the power or potential that a single man's hand can hold. And if you ever see the truth, then grab it and squeeze it and hold it as tight as you possibly can. But don't ever let it go. Yeah!
So there's me doing some deep slam poetry. And I'm a poet, a lyricist, an artist all around. This was recorded in 2007, what you just saw. So that was 15 years ago. That was Tim 15 years ago. And you hear some anarchist vibes in there, some libertarianism stuff. The poem, honestly, listening back now, isn't all so bad. But I will say the motivation at the time I wrote it, while I was already on board with this, you know, I understood the whole two-party paradigm stuff. I still wasn't a Christian. And like, so even in that poem, you don't hear me evoking the actual truth at all, or the actual solution, or anything spiritual at all. You know, again, I'm not just gonna inherently criticize every single lyric that I make as we go through these songs. But that is a point that I would make about that poem. Brilliant as it might sound on the surface, it's actually lacking in real wisdom. Let's go to another one.
February 6, 2006 is when my heart got fixed. February 6, 2006 is when my heart got fixed. Obsessive and compulsive and depressive, uninvolved and incomplete and insecure, inferior. And I'm engulfed within excessive stress and pressure. Take every desperate measure to ensure that I am never seen. I feel invisible. How I've been overlooked and passed around and handled like a spectacle. Who has to act a certain way to remain acceptable. Susceptible to alcohol and any pill digestible. We wrote the book, I'm breaking hearts. My soul is inaccessible. Everything I love is either ending or eventually will. Yeah, I need to get myself together, or maybe I just need to go. Yeah, I need to get myself together, or maybe I just need to go. Victimized by the crimes you committed, captivated, you just have to admit it. Cause everything turns back around, but you cannot turn it back round, around, around. Every single corner is a promise that you're broken and you know where you've been, but don't know where you're going. To the point that your hope is to see the night. Take a ride towards the light and sleep tight tonight. You might be right, the plight that we all alone in these walls of stone that you can call our own. But hey, everybody messes up and everybody's choosing. We all know that everybody loses, everybody wants everything anyway, and everybody does everything every day, and you're just another anybody in the midst of everybody doing anything to become anybody, right? And I need to get myself together, or maybe I just need to go. I need to get myself together, or maybe I just need to.
Maybe I just need to. Okay, so that was obviously a live recording. I could go on, but once again, you know, another song, beautiful in a way, sad because I'm just expressing myself and I'm a lost person who needs to get myself together, and I'm lost. I'm depressed. This is what hundreds of people are coming to hear me preach about, how lost I am and sad.
A loser.
My baby's got a big heart, she does. She's just got so much love, it makes it kinda hard for my baby to contain. She can't refrain, and so she passes her passion around us at Cash and Market Square. She does, but I never look because just thinking about other people around has been bringing me down in the worst of ways. And I'm just amazed, how did you ever get so easy? But I don't think it's your fault. I think that you've been assaulted by them fellas you thought were only giving you love. I think that they made my baby easy. I love the woman you are. Track marks on your arms, your every weakness and flaw. Easiness and all, easiness and all.
I asked Amber before she came home because she said she was on her way back. I told her I was going to be covering these songs. Now, this song, Easy, as you guys, I've told you in previous episodes, the majority of my songs, if they have to do with a girl, they're about Amber, who I have been happily married to now for 6 years or so, right?
Yeah.
The best 6 years of our life.
Next month, it's 6 years.
See you guys next month, 6 years. So we couldn't be more happy. But God's put us through a lot. I mean, we put ourselves through a lot, you know, but I just mean to say God did a lot to bring us together is a better way to word that. I did my stuff as I'm kind of talking about here on this show. Amber herself, you know, I would never want to say my wife is easy. Okay. But Amber could tell you herself, like she went through a real dark spot in her life. And yeah.
Yes, I did.
I don't want to. And his song, you know what?
So, okay.
Yeah, tell him a bit.
No, so it's weird because like a couple years ago, I had asked him to stop playing this song.
Well, don't say a couple because that means two.
Well, quite a few years back, I guess.
Yeah.
I just this song, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it just, I don't know. It just made me feel bad. Like, and it was like hard for me with how our relationship was, like how my life was and how Tim felt about me.
Do you want to say how your life was in a nutshell?
Yeah,
Well, I just mean because he didn't mention.
Yeah, so basically I was a heroin addict for like 10 years on and off. And Tim, I've known Tim since I was like 6 or 7. So like he has seen me through all of those struggles. The whole time we were always friends. And I mean, we would go times without talking and stuff, but like he was well aware of my struggles. But like we had like such a connection, and which is why there are a bunch of songs about me. And like this specific song, Easy, for a while I hated. It was like so embarrassing to me, and I didn't like own my recovery and stuff. And anyways, recently tonight Tim was like, well, I want to put Easy on. And I'm like, yes. Like I love that song now. For a while I hated it. I didn't even hate it. It just embarrassed me. But like I think it's super important, like for our story and my, my recovery and stuff. Like I love it. I love this song. So much has happened since then, but
Well, I would interject too to say that, like, I'm not talking in this song or trying to call out Amber for drugs or whatever she was going through at that time, but at that time
you just loved me.
I loved you, and
And-
I was going through my own version of really hard times, as I've been kind of talking about, as like all these songs are just describing this, and really it's just the sadness of sin and just being in, like,
right,
it's just
being
it's
wrapped
before
up.
we were both unsaved. We both were like raised
Yes.
somewhat in a church environment, a Christian environment. We both went away from that, and we both experienced, we wanted to see what the world was like, and we both got a fair dose of what the world's like.
Yeah.
And
All right, let's just play it.
yeah, so we'll finish the song out, but I
Honestly-
want to say, like, to me, Amber says she used to be embarrassed and now she's not, or whatever. But I want to say, like, at the time I wrote this song, Amber was not my girlfriend. She certainly was not my wife. What she was to me at that time was a girl that, and this is however many years ago, and she knew how I felt about her, and she told, we both knew that we really cared a lot about each other. But at that time in her life, her lifestyle and the stuff that she was caught up on was
too wild.
She was too wild, and then as was I. At this time, my DOC, my drug of choice, was just vodka, and I was going to sleep every night by chugging a bunch of vodka until I passed out in my bed. And so we were living, we had different addictions, but we were both living these sad lives. But we loved each other, and I really loved her. And the song, I can listen to it now and still appreciate it. I look at my wife today.
I honestly love this song now.
We talked about it
because it was so long ago.
What this song is
love
about loving somebody in spite of their flaws.
Just play it.
And
they don't even need
when we were talking about it. All right, but I just want to say though, before the show started, and I mentioned that I wanted to put it on here, and she was like, "Oh, that's fine." I talked about that for a second, because I was like, I think other people will relate, because I'm kind of calling you out in the song, even though not you by name, but for anybody that knows, for the people watching right now. But I really think that anybody can relate to this, because if you're really in love, like whoever it is that you're in love with, they got their flaws of their own. And is that not a big part of this whole thing? Just like forgiveness and acceptance. And so and by the way, I wrote this song when I was a Christian, a new Christian, a young Christian.
And I wasn't.
And Amber wasn't. And she was still the love of my life. So yeah, we'll finish this one out.
We all got some addictions, but some of us are out of control. I know that I am lost out on an island, been looking for the closest coast, but I'm just dying to hear. So riddle me this: if there was something worth fighting for, how could it exist if you were the only soldier fighting the war? My little lady, I miss your kiss like crazy. Just wish that you would come join the fight while you're too busy being easy. Well, I don't think it's your fault. I think that you've been assaulted by them suckers that taught you how to play so rough. I think that they made my baby easy. I love the woman you are, every scar on your arm, your every weakness and flaw, easiness and all, easiness and all I ever do anymore is wait to face outside of that little magnifying glass on my apartment door, and all I wanted was to say, I ain't mad about it. In fact, I kinda understand it. Yeah, and I'm gonna keep on calling. Somebody ought to love you, easiness and all. Oh, police, I just wanna scream. I don't wanna be associated with a bank, and I don't need to have no banks associated with me. I just want my money. I shouldn't have to sign on any dotted lines just to get my hands on what's rightfully mine. It shouldn't have to be so hard. All around the prison yard you can hear us singing. All I want is to be injured on the job or laid off so that I could finally pay off some of these bills, sleeping in and doing nothing at all. And then all I would need is a condition that could score me a prescription to weed, yeah.
All right, so I wrote this. I wrote this back in the days of pre-Christian super truther, super Ron Paul.
And whenever I'm falling down, my Mary, she calms me down wherever I am. Whenever I need someone to help me to overcome whatever I have become, wherever I am. Now all the men and the women and children, we're working together to build a prison. Yeah, to build a wall around the borders, put cameras on the corners to catch the criminals. They wanted to build a safer system. I wish they soon became the victims. Cause when you're surrounded by walls and cameras, it doesn't take too long before you're the prisoner. So while you're working up a sweat to get your minimum wage, you know you're paying off a federal debt that you didn't create. Cause it's the people getting played that fund the ones that run the game. You maybe win a couple hands and watch them rip it away. Liquidate everything that you've been working to make. You'll burn at the stake before you get your turn at the plate. You give the Federal Reserve the first portion of your pay until the only job available is serving the state. Man, I was waiting at the station trying to catch a bus and looking through my wallet for some extra bucks to get some lunch, but I don't got no money. Instead, I just ingest a bunch of Nestle Crunches, honey mustard flavored pretzels, plus Hawaiian punch, and then it hit me that everything I'm buying is a lie, and that this juice ain't even made out of real fruit, and it ain't Hawaiian. Hawaii isn't even a real state, it's just an island, and I ain't even sure I know who I am anymore.
This just in, we're looking
What
at
seems
some
the more
obviously
that I
very
know,
disturbing live shot there. That is
the
the World
less I
Trade Center,
am
and we
sure.
have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane.
All right, but about that, I will say it's the second popular song in my library that's all about how weed is the savior. You know, My Mary calms me down, and then the other big one, Ain't That America, which I thought I put in here. Oh, you know what? Check this out. I gotta check this out. Here's my other weed anthem. So that I don't know if I'd go so far as to call that one a weed anthem. Like it's not specifically and only about marijuana. But let me add this because I know I downloaded it. Oh, did I not? Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. You don't happen to have any interesting thing you can tell them for a quick second, do you?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, the most interesting thing about me.
Tell them the most interesting thing about you.
Well, okay. All right. Let me just say, no.
This is the big one.
Okay. It's super embarrassing because I was a drug addict for.
No, you've already told them about that. They've heard enough of the drug addict stuff. Tell them about.
All right, let me tell you about tonight.
Tell them about tonight. Yeah.
I had to bus. We are very
You did.
short-staffed with hosts and bussers, so I bussed tonight. Honestly, though, no, it was a great night.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. I did because I worked with people that actually like pre-bus and help out.
That's awesome, babe.
I had a fun night at work. It was actually pretty slow.
It's saying I got to delete one, but keep going. I'm listening to you. We're all listening. It
was actually pretty slow at work. So for selfish reasons, I was happy with that because.
No. It's good sometimes to just be slow in any job.
Well, not if you're like serving, which is why.
But maybe from like a work satisfaction standpoint.
No, it was good. I had a great night at work. Honestly, can't wait to go back tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot. All right. Don't need you anymore. So here's the other anthem I used to love so much about weed. This is my most popular song. This sucker is like well over 100K now on YouTube. I'm gonna probably end up pausing this a few times.
I believe that I can lead these people to see peace. I believe that we'll achieve everything that we reach for, baby. But don't misconceive it, cause I just don't appreciate seeing my people deceived, seeing my people breathing at these evil leads. We go weak, we so naive that my beliefs are never even received. When I believe that we the people need to show appreciation for God and His creation, which provides alleviation, artistic innovation, relaxation, meditation, elevation. It's like taking a vacation in your basement. We love plastic cups that come too far, but ain't that America? Ain't that America? And we'll force where we don't belong, but ain't that America? Ain't that America? Yeah.
Okay, and so this is I probably, dude, how old was I? How old could I have been at this time? Maybe 21, maybe 2021 when I wrote this. And again, I mean, I think the lyrics speak for themselves. I was pretty awake to the state of the world, but again, like a lot of unsaved, libertarian, that's kind of what happens. Like if you're a truther and you understand a lot of, what goes on in terms of, the two-party paradigm and all this kind of, false flag agenda kind of stuff that we always talk about on this channel. If you don't got Christ and if you're not saved, you kind of end up aligning with these, the libertarian, like this kind of humanist, I don't know. And like, so again, it's almost cringy, to listen back, as cool and as some of these rhymes are, as good of a song as it is from a rhyming standpoint, from a songwriting lyrical standpoint. The message itself, it's just like, seriously, like weed is the solution, but
How many patriots will find it alarming that we have been harming and starving our armies, that we have been sending our men to defend our offenses against the defenses again? I'm offended, but yo, it's not about pride. I just think it's about time that we took it outside, surrounding outline Capitol Hill and kept it until it looks like Amityville. Was seven will kill as if it was Hamburger Hill, till everybody's screaming like the rabbit cavities fill. You had to be real, you need to think of how you would feel if you were in a brass attack and saw your family get killed, the tragedy's real. We broken, now we have to rebuild. No matter how many innocent people have to be killed, no matter how much innocent blood that we happen to spill, we have to rebuild, we have to rebuild, and we will. We will take it too far, but ain't that America? Ain't that America? Where we'll force where we don't belong, but ain't that America? Ain't that America? Ain't that America? And I don't wanna get any hate mail telling me that I don't love my country enough. I just love it too much to sit back and watch it get flushed down the drain. Raising light as if you know what I'm saying. This ain't about legalization, it's about appreciating nature as the foundation for this nation. We should embrace it, not just take it for granted. My God, he planted it around the planet. Yeah, some people find me to be unpatriotic, but then again, some people think that weed's a narcotic. Yo, what strikes me is I find it slightly ironic. When antibiotics are more habit forming than bodies. They pop so many pills that it almost looks robotic. It's beyond addictive, aspirin is almost hypnotic. Without it, every single thing would turn chaotic. We'd all be psychotic, we'd fried and neurotic. But back to the plot, oh my God, I forgot it. I thought I was robbing it out, I should probably stop it. I got it on topic, the plot and the chronic. I'm honestly honest, so I think I got it because without it,
I'm just finishing it because I've already done so much.
These three things, so trust me when I say we're liberty, we let the red, white, and blue fly over fields of green. We'll take it too far, but
Yeah, man. I used to say that. Let the red, white, and blue fly over fields, and the whole crowd would go green, and we would all cheer like, yes, salvation. Weed would be legal, and now it is legal. In most places, but again, it's just
not our state.
All right, let's see what Bernie's saying. I believe that Jesus may come and set up his throne before the rapture. Goats on the left, sheep on the right. Come, Lord Jesus. The bad guys are being exposed. End times for them. 1,000. Oh, he got cut off. So far, I'm totally with you, man. So that, you know, you're set up his throne before the rapture. Goats on the left, sheep on the right. 1,000 years. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying seems pretty biblical. As far as the rapture, you know, obviously it's such, people are so split between like this pre, post, mid, you know, millennium rapture and tribulation rapture, I mean to say. And I'm kind of lost where I exactly fall on the thing. But I will say this, I do think Christians are going to go through at least a portion, if not the entire tribulation period, just because I don't see any good biblical reason why they shouldn't. Also, Christ is only coming back once, you know, but I'm not going to get into that whole thing. But Bernie, I'm with you, buddy. Glad you're still hanging out, man. Bernie, I don't even think I've seen you on here before, by the way, man. Welcome to the family. Everybody say hi to Bernie, whoever's here. So I still got that thingy. Here, let's go back to another one of these ones. One of these. Well, here's a good one. All right, right after this. And when I say here's a good one, I mean it's pretty good as far as what we were trying to do at the time. But I mean, it's a good one for staying on topic. All I'm doing is going song after song. But do you see how much I've changed, you guys? And maybe this is bringing a little delight for however many of the subscribers are watching this or will watch this in the future, I guess I should say, that also watch The War on Kids and see some.
No, and it's also like a nostalgic trip for me.
Yeah, well, it is for me too. Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, it's been
so a lifetime ago.
Right. Seriously, a lifetime ago. And like I can recite all these lyrics and sing along, but like actually breaking the lyrics down, and
it's interesting, isn't it? Because like so far, like I'm pretty happy with it. It's not like I'm out there being outright blasphemous or anything, you know, my old prior self, but you can just see how like I've always been proud of like a
whole crowd, like,
yeah, they were cheering me on,
listening to you, and
but
you were influencing them.
And I was influencing them, right? Yeah, but
whatever you said,
so
whatever you're saying,
I see it both ways. You know, that's something I've preached out against on his channel, and that's the whole reason I'm so passionate about it. Because yeah, Like I was a bad influence in those ways. One way, I hate to say I'm proud of myself, but for lack of better description, you know, I talk about that all the time and the influence that I had. And listening back to this, at the time, I always, one thing I always took satisfaction in is that every song that I wrote, or anything and I was a multi artist at that time too, you know, so like whether any type of art that I would put out, I should say, like, or thing I would write or whatever, at the very least, it would always be honest to what I really believed, right? And I'm listening to this back, and it rings true, you know. Like I remember where I was at that time, and the stuff I'm saying is fair, and in terms of just an honest person describing their experience and what they're feeling and thinking, you know. But it is, so I'm glad about that in a way. I'm just saying, at least I wasn't, you know, like out there knowing one thing and saying another.
Right.
But it's which a lot of the people that grew up like me that got in the industry, that's what they did. Katy Perry. Did you know Katy Perry used to be called Kate Hudson? And her dad's like a minister, and she was a Christian, not a real Christian, I'm sure, obviously, I would guess.
I also want to point out, like, so when we got baptized, which if you guys haven't seen or didn't know, like Tim and I got baptized the same day.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But I know that Tim expressed, like, you know, a lot of guilt about
my music and the way I publicly
the music and like reaching all of these people.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
This fine.
Well, it's just, yeah, no, what she's saying is right. And like, I feel bad. Like, I don't want to have any delusions of grandeur or nothing. Like, it's not like I was ever a big famous guy, but I will say that any artist at all, any artist that presents themselves at any professional level, like the only reason that you're ever motivated to do something like that outside of just having a creative outlet is because you, at least in the ideal sense, is because you have a message or something that you're trying to convey to the public, right? And that's where art is valuable, is like in the ability to like convey an idea or a thought that's hard to put into words and articulate, right? And that's where the value of art comes in, is like the ability to communicate a message, right? And like with good art, like it transcends sometimes language and all of this and that. So I'm just saying, like, regardless of however big my reach ever got, in my heart of hearts, you know, and where my passion was at all along, was that I actually felt like something about the message I had I felt like I had some kind of message, some kind of contribution to make that was helpful to people. And you're listening back to this, right? These are the songs that I chose to come out with. That, again, like, yeah, people did show up, people cheered with. I put my heart into it, and I chose, like, yeah, this is something that's going to help people. Do you know why I felt like it was going to help people? It's because at that time, as somebody that was backsliding from Christ, or perhaps just completely rejecting Christ, not just Christ, but just the biblical, you know, a moral way that I was raised, you know, what I was, the truth that I knew to be true, and morality that I was raised with. You know, for me, at this time when I'm coming out with all this, I did the same thing the rest of the world does, and probably a lot of you watching right now do. I would say, like, oh, you know, there's nothing wrong with different types of music. For example, like, because when I'm really angry and I'm listening to, and what would I listen to back then? You know, I don't know, like maybe Norma Jean or Converge or Disturbed or some type, yeah, like just some type of metal, like angry music. And I would say, and like these Christian metal bands, you know, and I would say no, like it's just, you know, it's a, what is it that we always say? Like, it's like an outlet, you know, for anger or whatever. Like, or if you're really sad, you listen to a sad song, right? And if you're really, like, for romance, you can listen to,
perpetuates, like,
yes,
the feeling.
Exactly.
So,
are
like,
you sad because you listen to are you listening to the sad song because you're sad, or are you sad?
It's like a vicious cycle,
right?
Like, I know, like, for me, when I was going through my hard times, I would listen to the saddest music,
right?
Because I was so sad, and like, My life sucked.
But how much sooner would you have coped with that? And by cope, I mean,
Dude.
ideally, like even come to God about it. But
no,
like,
honestly, like the things I was listening to, like, no, it was not God honoring. I was like in this rut. I was stuck in this like poor me, just this whole like, you know, and I was an addict. It was like this perpetuating sadness that just kept happening. And
yeah,
I didn't want God. Like, if you talked about God to me, no, you're done. Like, I didn't want it.
yeah.
Which is it's so crazy that like I am where I am now.
You remember how cautious I was, like when you started talking to me all those, like, you know, only a few years ago, but after everything we'd been through, and then now I'm a Christian, and now I'd already, you know, like cut ties with certain things, and like I'm trying to live this Christian life. And
Yeah.
when you finally hit me up, and I was like so excited to be in your life again, and like, dude, even though you weren't a Christian and saved, and I had these, you know, the pastor and like later, and I had all these people telling me, no, you can't pursue this relationship, you can't be unequally yoked, you know, all these things that are true
But we
biblically.
were for a while actually.
And you remember how like I was like kind of sheepish, and like I was like, well, I hope you don't mind, you know, I'm trying to follow Jesus now. And
No, but one of your, like, you made me go to church with you.
Yeah, so me and Amber, like at that time, I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll let you stay here. But we have to sleep in different rooms.
I made you sleep on the couch.
I slept on the couch, and she slept in my bed. And she had to come to church with me on Sundays. And we broke the rules sometimes.
And mind you, like, we already had a kid.
And well, we already had a kid that we already had a kid, yeah. And
Whatever. It's just so crazy.
it's so crazy, dude. No, we're like the best possible ending of a Jerry Springer episode.
No violence or anything. Like,
right.
you wouldn't even want
You
to
would
watch
expect
it
a lot.
It's just all you know, no, it's nothing even that interesting.
All right, hold up. Let's do another one of these.
Yeah. I just dropped the doorknob, buddy. Right. Represent small town after small town. Got that raw sound right out Kenosha County. We bring the walls down and then we put them back. Because where I'm from, it's all about respect. This one goes out to the Midwest Social Club. And to my dude Dale, Andy, and Clint, and Doug. And then my little sister Patty. You always been my best friend, plus the only girl that understands me. We're all family. Where I come from, I've lived in 6 different cities, but I just love one. Cause we got that real good. And we got lots of it. Crop dusted, high strains. Come and get your block busted. We into skateboarding, about the pop shoving. And all the parents hate it, well all the cops love it. I'm from the best town under the sky, the best city in the WI, that's where I wanna die. Oh yeah, so I don't gotta lie. Cause from the looks of it, I don't got a lot of time. I'd rather be on my game than on my grind. I don't got no money on my mind and I'm fine. I'm just a nomad that misses the homeland. I'm just a everyday regular guy, and I think I represent what this industry lacks. And I got natural talent with my actual accent. Now we blasting off into the breakdown. This part goes out to my crowd out in K-Town. I represent every MC that reps the Midwest that's been blessed with skill, but sits on the bench, they get stressed to kill. Still sits alone because New York and Los Angeles have been hogging the microphones. And the problem with hip-hop is that recently MCs are only dropping trip-hop hits. It stops the progress, here comes the plot twist that bomb shit's dropping about Wisconsin. Right? We like to do it live and we keep it unplugged. We're all about the nugs if you're selling the bag. But if it's about beer, we're about the genuine draft. I'm telling you, man. And most of us are living in debt. We get a little to spend and the rest is giving the rent. So when it's the weekend, we can't get down unless Obama's about to cut another stimulus check. We feeling the fact like no one's really hearing our voice. If you were given the gift, you ain't been given the choice. The only gift that I've been given is the gift of gab. I got that good word like good Lord, it's giving you goosebumps. And that don't rhyme with gab, but that's fine. so that's the last line.
So funny though.
Yeah, so that one's that. So I don't got too much bad to say about that. I mean, I'm talking about drinking, smoking, hanging out, skateboarders, and all this and that. It is what it is. Again,
High
that
school
pre-saved
stuff.
Tim. But I will say I love it. That I wrote that song and performed it when I was living in Florida. And I was rapping for a little label me and my friend had called Original. So that I thought that was clever, like original, but it was Origin Ill. Now, ill is a cool thing to say. Ill means cool in hip hop and urban slang, right? And our origins are cool
But
and
that's
ill. Therefore,
actually not
origin
cool
ill.
to like talk about it.
Well, no, I'm just talking now, Amber. I'm just hanging out with my friends, okay?
I'm hanging out.
So
too.
yeah, that was that. So again, pre-saved. I don't mind that song though. Listen back, that was cool. I actually like that song because I love Wisconsin. I do love Wisconsin. I got real Wisconsin pride. I've moved around a lot. And that's what that song was about. Just a little ode to Wisconsin. Some stuff I maybe wouldn't have written into it these days, but you know what? In the end, I'm going to give it a pass. Let's go back to this one. See where we're at. I'm gonna give that one a pass. But not a soft pass, not a hard pass, a soft pass, because there were things I didn't like about it. All right, so as you see, me and Amber have gotten into straight up party mode over here, having a great time with my wife. And I'll keep playing it, but here we are, another song about being depressed. What would you know?
Enough for the both of us. All right, well, it looks good. I would watch you while you sleep. You take the snake inside of me and make it function. So now I just hesitate with every single second of each day I try.
And here's a good expression of what every day felt like, again, before my life changed. Just felt like I was back when I was trying to conduct the shit by myself.
Try again. Try again, but try harder. Try harder, so you can fall again. Falling again, but fall harder. Fall harder. Can't you see the light at the end of the tunnel? 'Cause it's blinding.
Hold on. All right, you guys. As you see, I'm skipping ahead here, looking for a certain song to end up this Annika portion. You know what? I'll just play the rest of this one. Here's another one that fits along with the theme. Now I should know that this is true because I'm the one that wrote these lyrics and I'm the one that is the lead singer of these songs in this band. These lies. Yeah, I've had a couple songs about lies. I feel better when I'm lying. That's the first one I did. Here's one about I've been living by my lies. Lies, lies, lies. And all these lies that I'm talking about, it's almost like a double meaning. But where I was at in my life right then, these lies, was that it was something big in my life because I felt like a liar back when I was at home before I moved out and did all this punk rock music pursuit thing. And I was lying in my Christian school and at church and in my family about everything I was saying because my ambitions really lied elsewhere. And then once I got into that scene, though, I found myself also being a liar because my heart was, and I actually understood the truth of the way I was raised. And it felt like I just switched out being a hypocrite in one way to a hypocrite in the other way, you know, before I finally ended up coming back. But listen out to the rest of this song. You know, we're just going through the songs here, but this reinforces that same old theme happening again and again in these old songs.
I know the truth is out there, but I've been building walls for some time now, just so I could see your face again. And I've been living off my lies, always turning back the hands of time, never knowing what is there, just leave it in the air, 'cause words are hollow, yeah. And I've been living off my lies, this honesty's burying me alive, never knowing what is there, just leave it in the air, the rest will follow. And I've been living off my lies, always turning back the hands of time, never knowing what is there, just leave it in the air, 'cause words are hollow, yeah. And I've been living off my lies, this honesty's burying me alive, never knowing what is there, just leave it in the air, the rest will follow.
Kid stuff. I'll be right back. Oh, I wish I would have done some different things vocally there, but what can you do? That was 15 years ago. Just wait. Yeah, I will write some more music. Let's see what else is on this album real quick, and we'll finish it out with a couple more songs. And has this been fun to you at all? This has been cool. Random thing to do.
Yeah, it's been cool. Like I got off work. I was like,
Pretty random.
yeah.
Not your normal Fallen World Films affair, but
no, I was on a
do we finally
No,
put out
honestly, look
the
at
heavens and the earth?
babies.
And
The
I just needed
babies
a
are
break.
So curious.
Yeah, the babies. Look how sweet these guys are. But they both got tears in their eyes. Are you guys sad?
No, they're sick,
Oh, you guys are sick?
and we woke them up.
You're supposed to be keeping 6
No,
feet from
not.
us. You're supposed to stay. Well, you babies are supposed to stay 6 feet away from us. Don't you know that? And you're supposed to wear a mask. You got a mask for them? Let's put them in masks. Okay, guys. What else is on this album?
Get
We got to get Amber to find some more of my CDs.
by us when you're not loved. When time feels alright. Yeah, her heart collapses in sadness. We never see lazy cowards in his
But he had.
Let me pause this to say goodnight to Bernie. Bernie, thanks for joining us. It's the first time you joined one of these live streams, and I want
Thanks,
to.
Bernie,
yeah,
for joining.
Bernie, you're welcome anytime. Hope you subscribe.
Say
great to
good-
have
say
you.
goodnight.
And you guys, whenever we do these live streams, it's all about hanging out and being friends. So, Bernie, glad to have you, and good night, buddy. All right, back to the action.
battle. She shot was him with guilt. Such a destructive introduction to a dysfunctional world. I'd rather take it somewhere than fucking stay at home. 'Cause love.
I want to apologize too for that F word right there. I usually don't swear on this channel. I forgot that we said that in the song, but I guess it further shows what I'm trying to show you guys here. But sorry about that.
Only hurts when you're not loved. When I feel that way, like you do, yeah, babe. Only sucks when you're in pain. You could be the one that's next to me if you wanted to. So now you're lying, you lied to me. Your head is so dramatic, my heart is such a whore. So keep it going till I'm out of your way. Let's get in through the window, you rather lock your doors. 'Cause love only hurts when you're not loved. When I feel that way, like you do, yeah, babe. Only sucks when you're in pain. You could be that one that's next to me if you wanted to.
Amber, let me ask you this real quick. Could you imagine Jesus singing these songs?
No.
Just think like, what is it I'm really doing here? I'm taking these negative, bad experiences I've been through and
Honestly,
turning it into
no.
an art.
No,
And,
that's
like-
why I've like not been listening to music lately.
Right, because it's
A
not like
lot.
I'm doing anything weird. This is what music is now, right? I'm just doing the thing. But why do we do that as a culture? Like, hey, let's take the things that hurt us the most, immoralize it.
Does it not make sense,
memorialize it.
though?
Yes, it does make sense
Right.
when you know the truth. But
Right.
and here I am doing my part in the celebrity game, you guys. Okay, I hope you're. So
Yeah.
I'm a hypocrite, but I hope you're seeing my honesty here too. But let's finish this out though.
We are commonly close, like the common house code. We are with my hands, I'll take all the blame, 'cause you wouldn't lie to me, would you? Because I'm just like a ghost, yeah, no one can see me, could see that I'm dying when I say to just bring it on, yeah, just bring it on, yeah, just bring it on, yeah, bring it on.
Bring it, Ron. That's something we used to make fun of. Did you hear what I just said there? I feel just like a ghost. No one can see me, can see that I'm dying. And again, you know, it's just
Tim,
Thi-
you're literally
this
on
is what it
Lola's
was like.
head. Get off her.
Let me tell you what it feels like when you can't sleep. Reality seems like a bad dream. You can't even wake up from it. It's hard to think right. You can't scream from the top of your lungs, just get me out of this hell. I might as well be living on Elm Street. And every day you carried away from the day before, waiting the floor, cursing the day you were born. Later and pray to the Lord. I can't take it no more. Man, when it rains it just pours. Nowadays it just storms and I'm so sad. And today I got evicted again, and oh Lord, I lost my will. All these calls don't quit, even though I never answered them. I'm just hiding out until y'all will leave me alone. Just leave me alone. My dreams have two reoccurring themes. It's either somebody drowning or burning me alive, and I try with all my life, fight them off with all my might, but my mind is closing down in fatigue. My heart is beating through my chest, and now I hold it in my hands. I'm out of secrets. I think that I'm too open with my friends sometimes. I gotta quit spilling my guts so much. Everybody knows too much. It's tearing me up. Instead I try with all I have. I try to hold it together to keep me intact, but I am breaking apart at every seam. Well, I was brave enough to expose my demons, but I'm too weak to keep them under control. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. I don't care anymore. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone.
All right,
Excuse-
possibly a good song to end it on, but here's the lyrics, what you just heard. So we just went through a bunch of my songs. I skipped only a few. There's a lot more, obviously. It's perfect. It worked out perfect. I wasn't planning it, but I've always known. Like,
No, and the babies woke up, for the record.
Amber, we haven't talked about this before, but what would you say was the common theme? And I didn't pick I played the album and I could have picked more. I only went by what had the
The
best audio.
common thing, I guess,
Lyrically.
just like this perpetual like state of sadness, like
Yeah.
like being lost.
I mean, that's almost like
Um,
it was almost like the main feeling that you'd come away with. Almost even the ones that sounded positive in the end were kind of like, but things are still wrong.
Oh, Abel's waving.
There's no satisfaction.
Yeah, no, seriously, just like super sad, super lost, like just trying to live life in a really depressed state of mind,
Yeah. That's what I got out of it too.
right?
Yeah. And it's funny looking back
And
because
you were, and that's
Right.
that was like from your heart. That
and
it- it's-
exactly. That's the thing. I was never a phony. I don't want everybody needs to understand I was never a phony. No, so Casper the Fake, maybe fake was in my name.
Oh,
Always been
Eagle's
real.
worried about
Look at I just
it.
did this. Just wait, dude. Just wait till someone look at what I just accidentally did.
Illuminati
I
confirmed.
accidentally did it. How many people are now going to expose me for
Doug.
being? Dude, I'm starting with Doug, right?
Steve.
But no, in all seriousness, yeah, she's right. Yeah, like this is me speaking my heart, you guys. Like I will,
Yeah.
and like I'm when I acted all like celebratory like that. I mean, I will. I can honestly say it. Listening back to the songs, whatever, you might argue that I'm not the world's best singer, but I've always been an honest artist. I listen back now and I stand by it. It's like, yeah, that is exactly how I felt right then, and that was a good poetic way to put it when I listen back now. But man, it's sad because, you know, me and Amber talk about it all the time. There's probably a lot of you of my fellow saints, you know, and Christian subscribers feel the same way, you know, like you just know how much your life has changed and how much your heart has changed and how, you know, you're on the bright side now and how beautiful life is. And but remember back to the old days, you know, I guess it's a benefit that I have. It's a benefit because, you know, like it's like the longer you've been saved, it's almost like you can take for granted and you can almost become complacent about the blessings that God's bestowing on you and your family, you know. And but remember back to how it was before that happened. And me, in my case,
I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve.
Oh, don't even tell me Steve Stevenson's getting back in here with his old.
You guys gonna get a checkerboard floor in the kitchen?
Steve, come on, man! I told you to stay away from those Bill Cooper videos this late at night, man. What are you, 85 years old? You need to be sleeping by this time. Sarah, she's like, Steve.
Like, Steve, calm down.
Steve, I love you, Steve. I hope you're taking care of yourself, man. What's this one I have up right now? Is that the one we just played? Is that?
No.
Yeah, that's the one we just played. Let's do another one.
Like a spinning wheel is my head, endless nights in a restless bed. And if you ask me what I'm thinking, then you're wasting your time. You know, as soon as I start thinking, I start changing my mind. And my mind, it moves a million miles an hour, so it's never really that good of a time. And what I mean is left unsaid, like a spinning wheel is my head. Like an avalanche is my soul. I went from secretly sinning to spinning out of control, and I made a lot of bad decisions, and I've been paying for them. And in the midst of the consequences, I bet that I'll make them again, which has been killing me inside, cause I'm a passionate man. Yeah, but passion doesn't pay the bills, and paying the bills doesn't cure the illness. Still this stillness fills me up. And I get a little bit overwhelmed with this life that I choose to lead. I can't call it overwhelmed. It's been taking over me. And even though I know I go a little bit overboard in my moments of clarity, I can't call it clarity. These days I can barely see. Working on the railroad, finding clues, taking notes, cause I've been waiting for that ghost train.
You guys, it makes me want to cry to hear this part of this song. I'm not going to try. Should I try to? I feel like I've done a lot of like explaining the poetic meaning of.
Okay, all I want to say is
You
that
guys, listen, I'm 37. No, let me say this. I'm 37 years old. If you guys watched my most recent documentary video, which is The Heavens and the Earth, and you understand that I started this whole way that I've been back when I was only like 20. If I had to give it an age, I would say I was like, man, I was young. 20, 17 years or so of looking into this stuff. And I'm not going to get any deeper and explain the metaphorical reasons of these lyrics. But this part, it just makes me sad because I'm not actually talking about ghosts. I'm using ghosts as like a metaphor for the supernatural thing that most people relate to. And for me, but it's still just fringe enough. And that's the way that I've always felt, at least at the time that I wrote and recorded this. That's the way that I felt about what I believe in, which is kind of the context of what Fallen World Films has become. But
I've never saw one I can tell. Even though I've never saw finding clues, taking notes, 'cause I've been waiting for that ghost train, because I believe in ghosts, even though I've never saw one. I can tell I'm getting close.
that is
it's the getting close part. If I could put a slogan on Fallen World Films, it would be, I can tell I'm getting close.
Close, 'cause I've been working on the railroad, and I've been waiting for that ghost train to pick me up and take me home. Just take me home. There's no one here that shares my views, knows what I'm going through, or probably cares. And what hurts the most is knowing when this song is through that I will go back to being a ghost to you. But sometimes a little spirit's better than soul. Like an avalanche is my soul.
All right, you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the last one for the night. What have we learned tonight? Not much. We've just been hanging out. We've reinforced some of the stuff I've talked about a lot of times on this channel. You know, I've been a Christian as long as I've been a Christian, and I'm not going to say any more about that than what you guys should already know just by watching my videos here on Fallen World Films. Fallen World Films, the beginning of this channel and me doing what I do is let's just put it this way. That started a few months after like I absolutely became a Christian. And the reason I started so soon is because I was already so deeply engaged in this truther community. I created a magazine called Waking Up Wisconsin, which I wanted to show you tonight. Dang it, I forgot that. Look at Amber, I even got this. This is a book. Dude, we don't have time. We'll do that the next one. This is my
next time.
That's all
I do want
I wanted to show them the magazine.
Put the babies back to bed.
And the babies need to, the babies need to go to bed. No doubt about it. We're going to end it up with this song. I just wanted to explain to the people how you were gone at work. I was working on the part 2 of the Heavens and the Earth, which, by the way, you guys, will blow your minds. If it doesn't blow your mind, it will make you really happy because you already know the information and you'll be glad that I'm presenting it in such a professional way. But regardless, part 2 of the Heavens and the Earth is going to be very, I'm really excited about it. Let's just put it that way. I'm working on it, and that's what I intended to do tonight. But to be honest with you, after working so hard all week, putting out the video, and doing everything I do, you know, almost like I say all the time, you know, on my lunch breaks at work, I work on my channel, and I got all these kids and all this stuff. So anyways, I was trying to work on a show on the next part 2 again tonight, but I didn't want to. I started feeling too exhausted. So instead I decided to go live. I did this, Amber. I'm ending the stream right now, by the way. But the reason I went live is because you know what I wanted to do, you guys? What I wanted to do was play the Batman video game on Xbox, Arkham Knights. Now, people that play Xbox all the time, they've already played this game a long time ago, Arkham Knight. Or Arkham Knight, I think it's called Arkham Knight, yeah. But I never did because I pay for this thing called Game Pass, and I can only play games when they're available on the streaming service. So to make a long story short, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I know it's hypocritical, you guys. It's a guilty pleasure. I intend to always be honest with you, so that's why I'm even telling you this. I mean, in the Chip documentary, I literally condemn video games like this. It is what it is, you guys. But the reality of life is that sometimes what I like to do when I'm not working on the videos and when I'm not spending time with my family and when I'm not doing anything productive, one of my entertainment things is just playing video games. That's how I was raised. Been playing this Batman game. That's what I wanted to do so bad tonight. But I was like, you know what? No, you got to work on part 2 of the thing. Everything's going so good with the documentary. You got to do part 2. And I started writing it out, you guys. And I promise you it's going to be so good. And I do have a bunch of facts written out. But when it came to the script, I only got like two sentences in. And you know what I decided? I don't want to do this. I'm too exhausted. I've been working too hard. What I want to do is play my game. But then I decided this. No, I don't want to play my game. That's not productive. Yes, I can get Batman to the next level. But at the end of the day, what does that do for the world? Nothing. So I knew I had to do something productive. So instead, I decided to go live. I decided I wasn't going to talk about Alex Jones just getting sued for like $1 billion and all the other stuff that's going on in the news right now. Because me and Amber got to do a Tales from the Fallen World really soon, and we will. But it just occurred to me, you know what? It would be more productive for me to go live and do something. And I decided to do this music thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it. I'm going to end it with this song, unless I decide to jump in there with any more commentary or anything else I want to add to it. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us. We love you guys. Thank you for sticking with us as we dealt with all this family drama of, having like 1 million babies and
It's not drama, just the babies woke up.
It's not just the babies woke up, though. It's also you and me approach this thing already being exhausted from the reality that we raise all these kids in a tiny home.
Like I come home from work and you're like,
I work so hard. You work so hard. You guys, one last thing. Our lives are so. Do they suck? Our lives suck. Listen, we love our life and we're so thankful. We are grateful. We're blessed. But man, it's so hard, you guys.
No, it sucks.
But thank God it sucks.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's true. And praise the Lord. And man, we are so blessed, you guys. It's a privilege to have the responsibility we have with all these kids and with the channel and everything we do and our jobs. It sucks from our perspective. But thank God that we're not storing up our treasures here on earth, but in heaven. All right, you guys, that's where I'm going to end it. And I'm going to play out this thingy. And unless I decide I want to say something, which, to be clear, I can say whatever I want, whenever I want.
Dude, so can I.
So can Amber. This is her channel too.
I can too.
Exactly. This is our channel, you guys.
Look, so can Abel.
And if you get annoyed when we talk like this, you got to remember, hey, you can start your own channel.
Look at this baby.
Be my guest. but this is ours, and this is what we do. I'm trying to get rid of Steve Stevenson. Again, is my channel. I should be able to do that. There we go. Okay, here we go, guys. Unless I decide to say anything else, this is it. We love you. Thanks for hanging out. And hope you enjoyed it. And bye-bye. I will say something, but that's not quite.
For the record.
People pretty much. There's always like, there's never many people live, but there's a whole more people than there are.
Well, you can feel the crowd bouncing off the ground, gets louder downtown, sounds something like a band chicka wow wow. Well, that's the sound of my generation getting rowdy. Everybody's all about it. I just wanted to break it, I wanted to make it sound hotter than it ever has. Never been that big of a fan of gangster rap, cause I ain't a gangster, man. And I definitely ain't a rap star. I don't gotta act hard just to show you that my flow has got a purpose. Where the wordplay is perfect, not the hottest, but the hardest working artist in the circuit. For sure, like that's for certain. Affirmative, the verdict is back. I've been convicted and committed just for murdering tracks, and I'm burning the back of the candle, man, and burning it black. Cause I determined that a sermon should stay firm in the facts, and once you burn it on wax, there ain't no turning it back. I'm more concerned with breaking records than earning some cash, and that's where I'm at. It really isn't like me to brag, and I don't wanna start no beef, cause I ain't trying to get stabbed. I wanna come real, you wanna get mad, cause it sounds like it's coming out of a rock band. Well, forget that, or the fact that you're out the hood. Cause if you can't rap good, bada bum bum, damn. What you know about hip hop? What the heck is hip hop? Well, I ain't trying to sell my soul just to roll with you big shots, man. You raw talk, all you talk about is how you got the rawest rhymes. These days, I just have the hardest time arguing with critics and myself for saying that it isn't hip hop. But what the heck is hip hop? Well, I'm just Tim, but you know me as Casper the fake hand. One of the ways that I'm feeling today is underdressed, cause I gotta get the fame by the name of the brand that's displayed on the tag on the back of my pants, man. I want an Ed Hardy sweater, so everybody knows that I got some money, but I probably ought to spend it better. Then I want to get a gold grill. I just can't afford gold, so I'm going with the chrome-plated stainless steel. Then I'm headed for the hills in Beverly to sign a couple deals in between chasing thrills. And in the meantime, I'm gonna rake in the mail and keep my pockets filled with $100 bills of Richie Will. Yeah, who's the black sheep if I ain't the black sheep? With a backpack full of scratch tracks of rappies, a couple fat caps in the plastic bag, and keeping a can of flat black, and I'm tagging at max speed. You know that overpass in Holland? Well, that's me. I laid a couple fat pieces on that street. You could even find some fake tags on the train tracks where that gate's at that I planted on my way back. Like, take that, just a little payback for the state tax. Cause I've been laying tracks that could break backs ever since way back. Anyways, yo, what you know about hip hop? What the heck is hip hop? Well, I ain't trying to sell my soul. Oh, yeah, I ain't trying to sell my soul. No. Not much of Stevie Ray Vaughan on the guitars. All right, this verse is where it really breaks down. Let's check it out. And if I never ran out of breath, I would never stop singing. I mean that I wouldn't stop rhyming. I know they're not the same thing. And I mean, you people seem to think that you're the music police. Like I ain't doing enough shootings to be using these beats. But I ain't true to the streets. I don't cruise with the heat. I'm just a dude with a hobby of spitting 2-minute freeze and fusing the two bad together at unusual speeds and making music out of movement by the truest of me. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only artist left to believe in, cause I would never release anything that I wasn't feeling unless I wasn't breathing. I can't even think of another reason to ever say anything if I don't really mean it. And I mean that respect cannot be expected, you gotta earn it. Working the one direction, I'm turning this to perfection. Learning that life's a lesson, this journey is just a test. So don't worry or even stressing, let burdens turn into blessings. The best is still yet to come, destined to be a testament. Heaven sent with a message, the devil is just a pessimist. Send it to God above and don't settle for less than excellence. Cause anything less is negligence of what you have been put here for. Boom, bada bum bum bum, boom, bada bum bum, put here for. bow, ba bow, 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 do do, la da 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 ba da, dum da da dum dum ba.